pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders in county assemblies for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen.
In the right to be heard in the proceedings of the impeachment motion, as our communication was done to the Governor, His Excellency Amos Nyaribo, we, the office of the Speaker, has received our communication directing that Anyoka and associates, advocates, commissioners for oaths and notary public will be representing His Excellency the Governor under the same standing order.
Amos Nyaribo from office by impeachment. I thereby read.
Thank you. Next order.
Next is a motion.
Next order.
Statement.
Next order.
Motions and bills.
Honorable Evans Chuma Matunda, Member of County Assembly of Nyamira.
To the motion. Mr. Speaker, this is the motion for the removal of the Governor, His Excellency Amos Nyaribo, from office of County Governor, Nyamira County, by way of impeachment pursuant to Article 181, 1, A, B, and C of the Constitution of Kenya. Section 3.3 of the County Government Act 2012 and the Nyamira County Assembly Standing Order number 62. Mr. Speaker, sir, aware that the Article 232, Clause 2 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 prescribes the various Speaker, thank you very much for that. I can make the correction. This is a motion that this Honorable House debates and approves the removal of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyamira County, from office by way of impeachment on the following grounds. 1. Gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya and other laws, and the abuse of office and gross misconduct. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion for the removal of the Governor, His Excellency.
You beg.
I beg to move the motion. I call upon Honorable Minister.
You read. Proceed reading.
Okay, let me now read. This is now the motion for the removal of the Governor, His Excellency Amos Nyaribo, from office of County Governor, Nyamira County, by way of impeachment, pursuant to Article 181, 1A, B, and C of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Section 33 of the County Government Act 2012, and the Nyamira County Assembly Standing Order 62. Mr. Speaker, aware that Article 232, Clause 2 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 prescribes the values and principles of public service for all state organs in both levels of government and all state corporations, which are inscribed in Article 2321 as follows. High standards of professional ethics, efficient, effective, and economic use of resources, responsive, prompt, effective, impartial, and equitable provision of services, involvement of the people in the process of policy making, accountability for administrative acts, transparency and provision to the public of timely and accurate information subject to paragraphs H and I, fair competition and merit as the basis of appointments and promotions, representation of Kenya's diverse communities, and affording adequate and equal opportunities for appointment, training, and advancement at all levels of the public service of men and women, the members of all ethnic groups, and the persons with disabilities. Mr. Speaker, further, Article 10, 73 and 75, 1 of the Constitution provides that the national values and the principles of governance, the responsibilities of leadership, and the conduct of state officers respectively which requires all state office holders to exercise the authority and the public trust assigned to the office in a manner that demonstrates and brings respect for the people, honor to the nation, and dignity to the office. Promotes public confidence in the integrity of the office and accountability to the public for decisions and actions, and in a manner that avoids conflict between personal interest and the public or official duties, comprising any public or official interest in favor of a personal interest, or demeaning the stature of the office that the officer holds as a key guiding principles of leadership and integrity. Mr. Speaker, further, aware of the letter and the spirit of Article 174 and 175 of the Constitution on objects and principles of devolved government, as read together with Section 30, Clause 2(3) of the County Government Act 2012, which provides for the functions and the responsibilities of a county governor and the performance of those functions. Noting that the doctrine of separation of powers and its inherent demand for the dutiful and equitable distribution of resources by public officials to citizens, Article 174 and 175 essentially provide for accountable service delivery to all Kenyan citizens. Article 181(1), which lays the grounds upon which a county governor may be removed from office, keeps to the spirit of providing a check and balance in keeping with the objects and principles of devolved government. This Assembly now resolves to remove His Excellency Honorable Amos Nyaribo from the office of the County Governor of Nyamira County by impeachment pursuant to Article 181, Clause 1A, B, C of the Constitution, Section 3(3) of the County Government Act 2012, and the Standing Order Number 62 of the Nyamira County Assembly Standing Orders on the following grounds and the particulars therein under. Grounds and particulars of impeachment. 1. Gross violation of the Constitution and other laws. The Governor, Mr. Speaker, grossly violated the Constitution and other laws as demonstrated below. 1. Gross violation of the Constitution by illegal recruitment of county staff, whereas Articles 10, 27(4) and Article 2321(g) of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, values and principles of public service require fair competition and merit as the basis of appointment. And whereas Section 5(2) of the Employment Act 2007 requires an employer to promote equal opportunity in employment and strive to eliminate discrimination in any employment policy or practice, the Governor openly violated this section of the law by single-handedly sourcing Mr. Godfrey Kiriago and Ms. Imelda Nyaberi for appointment in the county public service to the position of Director Human Resource Management and Human Resource Officer, respectively, to the position of Director Human Resource Management and Human Resource Officer, by way of cherry-picking a process that was devoid of competitiveness. This recruitment did not satisfy the standards set out in law. This violation was affirmed by the Honorable Court in Employment and Labor Relations Court at Kisumu ELRC petition number E047 of 2021, which declared the appointment and the secondment of Godfrey Kiriago Nyang'ao and Imelda Kimunto Nyaberi as illegal, discriminatory, and unconstitutional. Further, whereas Section A15 of the County Human Resource Policy Manual states that the decisions of the County Public Service Board will be communicated through the Secretary, County Public Service Board, the Governor and the Chairperson, County Public Service Board, jointly usurped the functions of the Secretary, CEO, Nyamira County Public Service Board, and issued appointment letters to the two officers. By picking Mr. Godfrey Kiriago and Imelda Nyaberi, the Governor violated Article 10 and Article 274 of the Constitution of Kenya 2020 on principles of patriotism, the rule of law, good governance, integrity, transparency, accountability, sharing, and devolution of power. The Governor's illegal recruitment of county staff violated Article 2321(g) of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which provides for the values and principles of public service, which include, but not limited to, fair competition and merit as the basis of appointments and promotions. Mr. Speaker, witness is included there, Douglas Major, and the annexure we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. B. Violation of the Constitution by denying students their right to education. Whereas Article 274 of the Constitution of Kenya requires that the state shall not discriminate directly or indirectly against any person on any ground, including race, sex, pregnancy, marital status, heritage status, ethnic or social origin, color, age, disability, religion, conscience, belief, culture, dress, language, or birth. The governor in January 2024 at the Uhuru Gardens in Nyamira town, the governor uttered words to the effect that those who don't vote in Nyamira, if your father or your mother does not vote in Nyamira, you belong to where your parents are voters. Hence, you should apply there and get the bursary there. Words that depicted and or portrayed discrimination contrary to Article 274 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Evidence is there. That's the Constitution, the video, and the video. C. Violation of the Nyamira County Persons with Disabilities Act 2023 by failing to constitute the Nyamira County Persons with Disability Board. Whereas the Nyamira County Persons with Disabilities Act 2023 provides for, among other issues, the rights and privileges of persons with disabilities, the most vulnerable members of the society. 9 months down the line, despite agitation and numerous pleas from persons living with disabilities, the governor has failed, has ignored, and or neglected to cause the constitution of the board contrary to the Nyamira County Persons with Disabilities Section 4.5 and in particular Section 6.1 that states as follows. The governor shall appoint with approval of the county assembly a chairperson and a vice chairperson from amongst the persons nominated under Section 5.1 A, B, C respectively. There's evidence, witnesses, Jared Wilberforce Nyaribo, Annexure 9 and 10. D. Violation under the Public Finance Management Act 2012 by failing to contain the county wage bill within the legal threshold. Whereas Section 102(1)A and B of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 requires each county government to ensure adherence to 1A, the principles of public finance set out in Chapter 12 of the Constitution, the fiscal responsibility principles provided in Section 107 under this Act, and whereas Section 107(2)C of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 requires each county government to enforce the following fiscal responsibility principles. 1. The county government's expenditure on wages and benefits for its public officers shall not exceed a percentage of the county government's total revenue as prescribed by the county executive member for financing regulations approved by the county assembly. Further, whereas Regulation 25(1)A and B of the Public Finance Management County Government Regulations 2015 expounds the above section of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 as follows. 1. The County Executive Committee member, with the approval of the County Assembly, shall set a limit on the county government's expenditure on wages and benefits for its public officers pursuant to Section 107(2) of the Act. B. The limit set under paragraph A above shall not exceed 35% of the county government's total revenue. Mr. Speaker, aware that the County Assembly froze all recruitments on 1st July 2021 and communicated the same to the County Executive through the approved report of the Committee on Budget and Appropriations on the county estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year 2021-2022 and a further communication to the County Secretary and the County Public Service Board. The Governor has violated the above provision by causing the county wage bill to balloon each ever since 2022 as shown in the analysis below. Financial year 2022-2023, the Controller of Budget Review Report, the wage bill was for 6.4%, 2020, the financial year 2023-2024, 48.9%, financial year 2024-2025, 49.22%. Further, aware that Regulation 53(1) of the Public Finance Management County Government's Regulation 2015 on unauthorized spending stipulates that except as provided for in the Act and the regulations, an accounting officer of an entity may not authorize payment to be made out of funds earmarked for specific activities for purposes other than those activities. The Governor has violated the law by causing continuous recruitment without approved budget allocations by the County Assembly of Nyamira. Evidence that we have annexure 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 to annexure 18. Annexure 19. So B. C. Violation of the Nyamira County Mortgage Scheme Fund regulations and Nyamira County Car Loan Scheme Fund regulations by benefiting from unsecured car mortgage loans. The governor has benefited from a mortgage facility from the county government of Nyamira without meeting the laid down requirements in Nyamira County Mortgage Scheme Fund regulations. The next year we have this Nyamira County Mortgage Scheme Fund regulations, legal notice number 1 of 2012, here in below. A. Violation of Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya by disobeying court orders. The governor disobeyed the court judgment on court order or court orders delivered by Justice Christine Enning on 16 December 2021, filed Employment and Labor Regulations Court at Kisumu, petition number E047 of 2021, which declared the appointment and secondment of Godfrey Kiriago and Imelda Kemutu Nyaberi as illegal, discriminatory, and unconstitutional, and further ordered the revocation of the appointment and the secondment of the aforesaid Godfrey Kiriago and Imelda Kemutu Nyaberi to the service of the county government in Nyamira. We have a copy of the judgment E047 of 2021, that's annexure now, annexure 21, up to annexure, Mr. Speaker, up to annexure 25. B. Devising and effecting a systematic scheme to defraud the county government of Nyamira by manipulation of the payroll through the assistance of illegally and unprocedurally recruited members of staff. Mr. Speaker, the governor, by cherry-picking and appointing Mr. Godfrey Kiriago and Imelda Kemutu Nyaberi to the county service, had a clear intention. He had a clear intention of manipulating the payroll and defrauding the county government of Nyamira public funds that are meant for delivery of services and the development of the people of Nyamira. The two officers illegally paid huge, irregular, and unexplained salaries and special allowances to the governor and his cronies, as shown below. A. His Excellency Amos Nyaribo, Governor, that is PF number 2013-3017, salary arrears of 5,649,706, by the pay slip of September 2021. 2. Mr. Godfrey Kiriago of PF number 270,40920 with an explained salary arrears of 629,720 by the pay slip of July 2023. C. Imelda K. Nyaberi of PF number 198,60,2005 with an explained salary arrears of Kenya shillings 464,640 by the pay slip July 2023. Ms. Rose Bosibori Buto, an ECD teacher of PF number 201,600,933,681 with the basic salary of 4,770. Special allowance of Kenya shillings 25,018,852 at easy 5 pay slip March of 2023. E. Gladys Mora Nyambane of PF number 201,401,55228 with a rental allowance of Kenya shillings 1,200 was given a special salary of 1,100,467,000 via the pay slip January 2023. Mr. Isaac Kerongo Nchiri of PF number 201,600,9235 with a special salary of 700,836 via the pay slip January 2023. Mr. Speaker, these irregular payments cost the county government of Nyamira a loss of public funds amounting to 33,564,221, thereby denying the people of Nyamira the much needed essential services and the infrastructure developments. Witnesses Douglas Major Soro, Ipadate, annexure, there is annexure VI, annexure 26. Up to annexure 28, I think. 28. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the motion.
Call upon.
And I now call upon Honorable Nina, the leader of minority, to second the motion.
Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion.
Thank you, honorable members. I now propose that this honorable house debates and approves the removal of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the Governor of Nyamira County, from office by way of impeachment on the following grounds. 1, gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya and other laws. 2, abuse of office and gross misconduct. Honorable members, the motion is open for debate, as I also give some minutes the defending legal team from His Excellency Amos Nyaribo to prepare a response over the same that will be timed. Thank you, and get prepared. Honorable members, the motion is open for debate.
Honorable members, for the record, my name is Jacob Ngwele. I'm an advocate of the High Court, and I'm appearing with my learned senior, Mr. Nyoka, who is leading me on this particular matter. Honorable Speaker, perhaps we can get guidance from your end. How much time do we have on our side to respond to these issues so that we can have guidance?
How much time do you need?
We need at least 2 hours.
That will be a lot. You will only, because the members will have another exercise, allow me allocate you. Let me confirm.
We'll be seeking guidance from the chair. We're raising a few points of what we find law notice of preliminary objection. Certain objections on the motion, that is on the legality of the motion, and we'll be seeking guidance from the chair. The first one, of course, is founded on standing order number 65. That is of the standing order number 65, 1A of Nyamira County government. That is on the issue of right to be heard. That is Nyamira County Assembly Standing Orders 65. Honorable Speaker, even though the substantive procedure is governed by standing order number 62, there is standing order number 65, which provides the general guidance on all matters for impeachment, be it impeaching a CSC, a governor, or a member of the County Public Service Board, or any other person. So that standing order talks about the right to be heard, which we agree we have already been given that opportunity, and that's why we're making these submissions. However, Honorable Speaker, I'll take you to standing order number 1A, which talks that, which reads that, which requires the County Assembly to consider the petition or approval for the removal of a person from office. The person shall be entitled to appear before the relevant committee of the County Assembly, considering the matter. That is a requirement, a legal requirement, and your standing orders. So here we are on the plenary, but we have not been accorded an opportunity to appear before the relevant committee. So basically, these proceedings ought first of all to originate from the, even if the motion is tabled in the Assembly, there ought to be a committee of the Assembly to consider. And if you go further, you will see that the Assembly to hear a person on the ground for removal, then on the date and the time to be determined, there's also the issue that, number 2, the person being removed from office shall be availed a copy of the report of the select committee. So once the committee has sat down and dispensed with this business, then the person being removed ought to be accorded a copy of the report of the committee, which you have not been afforded to. So we'll seek guidance from the chair whether this standing order has been waived or is inapplicable, so that we can get guidance as we proceed. Secondly, on the other issue I want to raise is the issue on standing order number 87. Standing order number 87 of the Nyamira County Standing Orders talks about issues of sub judice, matters which are sub judice. And it says, no member shall refer any particular matter which is sub judice or which the operation of the law is secret. So sub judice, so no member shall refer in the House, whether in the plenary or in the committee of the House, a matter which is sub judice. Of course, the same standing order gives the standards of what constitutes sub judice. It says, a matter shall be considered to be sub judice when it refers to active criminal or civil proceedings. the discussions of such matter is likely to prejudice fair determination of that matter. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the notice of motion which is before the House, I'll refer you to grounds. I'll refer you to the first ground, that is ground 1A. That is ground 1A and B. Then you will also, the same one is also repeated in
the whole House. And today you are facing the committee of the whole House of the County Assembly of Nyamira. So you are at the right place. Consider this as a committee. The report you received are annexures and every detail that you are here to respond to. A special committee that was chosen by this County Assembly, that was financed by this County Assembly to come up with the same draft that you were served. So you have the right document that is approved by the Speaker of the County Assembly. Above all, Standing Order number 1 gives all the powers to the Speaker to direct on how the matters should run as per to your allegations. As per to the active matter in court, we have not been served the same to stop this County Assembly from debating on any such a matter. So the County Assembly is equivalent to the High Court of Kenya with the powers also to deliberate on the very same issues. So we give you an opportunity to respond to the same allegations. Thank you and welcome.
House are brought pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, which provides that, which gives the Assembly the power to remove the governor from office. The grounds for removal of a governor from office are well provided for under the said provisions of the Constitution. Number 1, there must be a gross violation of the Constitution, and just to zero in on the other one, abuse of office or gross misconduct. So these are the grounds which have before this particular assembly today. Our submission is that the motion before this particular House does not meet the threshold which has been established under this particular constitution provision. And we will endeavor in our submissions to show and exhibit the House that this motion has not provided evidence that these charges have gone through. The standards for hearing or measuring this particular matter was set in the famous case of Wambora and also in the Sonko case. So it's not about a violation. It's something must be gross. Gross breaking of the law. Gross is not a traffic offense, a minor misgression of the law or anything. Gross has been defined as something shaking, something on the face of it, it is bad. It is bad. So we need to submit that this motion has not disclosed any evidence. The motion does not meet the legal threshold of Article 181. Number 2, there must be a nexus between the governor and the alleged violation. For this House to make a determination, you must ask yourself, is there a nexus? A nexus means a connection between the individual action of the governor and the alleged violation which is being alleged. And the violation which must be established in a substantive interrogation of evidence. So for you members to find out whether the governor has violated the provisions of the Constitution as envisaged, there must be substantive evidence placed before you to show a nexus that these actions were the individual actions of the governor. It's not an institutional issue or the government did what. It must be an individual action of the governor. We do submit that as we are going to exhibit, that no nexus has been exhibited in this motion to show the linkage between the alleged action and the conduct of the governor. Number two, no evidence. The charge and evidence do not provide the link to the governor on any of the grounds. So, based on that submission, we are going to submit on two things. There is no nexus, and the charges do not meet the constitutional threshold for impeachment of the governor, such that there is gross violation of the Constitution and there is gross misconduct. I'll invite Malanet Senior to lead this House on the first, on a few grounds, then I'll take over from there.
As you say, can you guide my honorable members on what, on your case, you find to be gross and what is just a normal violation?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. A normal violation of the law is a violation which, a gross violation, there must be an intent. You must look at the criminal aspect. You must look at is there a deliberate attempt? Is there a deliberate attempt to defeat the law? That deliberate, that mens rea, that is the criminal intention. It may be like something like misappropriation of funds. There must be elements of misappropriation of funds whereby it is evidence is brought that there was a cartel which was formed, or maybe there was a scheme to defraud funds. This is what amounts to gross violation whereby, but the other violations are whereby the county has not complied on one. There are small violations of the law here. These regulations was not conformed to. This is what it means. Normal violations, and in those normal violations you cannot impeach the governor. And again, this gross must be as a result of the individual action of the governor. You cannot load the governor on the county public service board did not do this, then the governor bears the responsibility. That is not gross. There must be a nexus between that. I hope I've guided the House.
Thank you for that information. Honorable Speaker.
Point of inquiry, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that the lawyer is not seeing criminal action anywhere in that motion. But I wish to know whether he's seeing unethical actions in this motion, in the governor's actions.
Thank you. Let's allow them preside. I have a note.
Speaker.
Turn your mic on, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, and honorable members of this House, I have the privilege to appear on behalf of His Excellency, the Governor, and in my submissions, I specifically restrict myself to the issue of public participation. Honorable Speaker, the issue of public participation is so central to any impeachment proceedings. You know, in that regard, I refer the members to Article 196, Sub-Article 6, as read with Section 87 and Section 91 of the County Governments Act. These particular provisions, Mr. Speaker, they are designed to give effect to the national values and the principles of governance. This includes the element of public participation. Why is this so, Mr. Speaker? Then this takes us back to the articles and the pertinent articles of the Constitution. And in that regard, I refer the members to Article 1 of the Constitution, which provides that all sovereign power belongs to the people. However, that power must be exercised only in accordance with the Constitution. Then Sub-Article 2 goes ahead, that is B, that this sovereign power can be exercised directly or through the democratically elected representatives. But then these elected representatives have an obligation to act only in accordance with this constitution. Your Lordship, Mr. Speaker, if you go ahead and look at the provisions of the Constitution, Article 2 of the Constitution, it's very emphatic that the Constitution is the supreme law of the Republic, and that it binds all persons. It binds all persons and state organs, both at the national and at the county level. Mr. Speaker, if you go further to Article 3 of the Constitution, it goes ahead and says that every person has an obligation to public service board, Mr. Speaker, runs its own budget, with its own budget and its own secretariat. Section 30 speaks about the functions of the government. Section 31 spells out the powers of the government. None of this gives him power to exercise any control over the county public service board, which has the sole discretion and mandate to deal with the issues recruitment, staffing, discipline, etc. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the entire motion, the petition has not demonstrated how the governor, jointly with other officers or the chair of the County Public Service Board, has usurped the functions of the secretary of the board. Mr. Speaker, you look at that same ground and the evidence that has been submitted. The mover of the motion has not shown the nexus between the alleged gross misconduct or violation and the conduct of the government. The mover is on an fishing expedition, made allegations so weighty that must constitute removal of the government, but has failed to table or to cite the particular charges and the evidence supporting the charges. Mr. Speaker, you look at those allegations. There's no element of personal knowledge. It has not been shown that there's personal knowledge on the part of the government that this is what was happening in regards to these particular officers who have been cited in this petition. The charges, Mr. Speaker, as framed, do not disclose any culpability of gross violation on the part of the government. The petitioner is on a fishing expedition. Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, further on ground 1B, that is on the issue of right, the issue of denying students their right to education. Mr. Speaker, the mover of this motion has cited ground Article 29, sub-Article 4, as the relevant provision that has been violated by this particular allegation against the government. That particular proviso or article of the Constitution does not support the allegations of violation of that particular ground, that is ground 1B of the motion. Why are we saying so? Issues of education and the rights of education are captured in Article 43 of the Constitution. But nonetheless, we said that there's no violation on the part of the government. This action of the government of the state was taken out of context in terms of the language used. However, whatever action and whatever step that the governor undertook is provided under the Education Act. That is Section 2 of the Education Act. I invite the Assembly to look at our annexure 2A, that is on the Nyamira County Education Support Act 2016, more specifically on section 2 of the same act, whereby at the end of the very end of subsection 2, it says student means any Kenyan and a voter or whose parent is a voter in Nyamira County. Any matters of education, including disbursement of bursaries, is limited to residents of Nyamira who can only demonstrate with the residents through a vote. The only option that the move of this motion has is to challenge that particular section which the government used to decide the criteria that was used to disburse funds or bursaries to meet students. It should also not be, we should also not lose sight of the fact that this is a common practice. It happens in all counties. Remember that resources are appropriated depending on the number of residents in a particular county. So dispersing these resources without a criteria of identifying who are the bona fide residents of a particular county, that shall deny bona fide and true needy students of that particular county. We submit that there is no violation. We acted well within the law. Mr. Speaker, let me proceed also to submit on ground 1C, that is on ground 1C, that is on the issue that is on violation of the Nyamira County Mortgage Scheme Fund, regulations and the Nyamira Car Loan Scheme, and regulations by benefiting from unsecured car and mortgage loans. Mr. Speaker, could the mover of the motion have exercised some further due diligence, even to make an inquiry? Then this could not have formed part of the grounds of this particular motion. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of car loans, that is an issue that will be addressed by my colleague, to address the issue of people with disabilities. Your Lordship, your Mr. Speaker, the issue of people with disability is provided under Article 54 of the Constitution. The government, and by extension the government, prepared a bill to operationalize issues to do with people with disability. We have annexed that particular bill. The bill is pending before the Assembly. I shift or push back that responsibility to the Assembly, which has failed in its legislative mandate by debating and enacting that particular provision, which is pending before the Assembly. We have annexed the draft regulations in regards to people with disabilities. Mr. Speaker, that notwithstanding, through magnanimity of the governor and with his executive, they have nonetheless provided some budget to address or to operationalize issues concerning people with disability. Despite lack of cooperation, lack of expeditious act or action on the part of the Assembly, they nonetheless provided a budget for that particular provision or function of the county executive. It's also worth noting that Nyamira, as a county, is one of the pioneer counties which commenced the process of the National Campaign. I expected the move of this motion to applaud and congratulate the county executive for that particular move, which is far ahead of other counties which are lagging behind in making efforts towards the realization of any acts or laws concerning the affairs of people with disability. And without this particular regulation, the appointment of the board and subsequent operationalization shall require budget allocation. How shall the executive be able to manage if the board is put in place? How do they
see provisions of the law which are not that because you have not achieved them, then you've grossly violated? This is what I was categorizing earlier, between gross violations and issues which are in the law, which are progressive in nature, which are just requirements, that even the requirements of standing orders as you have. So such a violation cannot be. And in any event, the issue of the wage bill, we do submit, there's no nexus. There's no something that the governor has caused. This wage you have in the county, the number, the wage bill you have over and above, has not been the origin of the governor. The wage bill we have in the county is as a result of successive governments since the devolution. Number one, the overemployment is the result of the first-term governors, and also the issues of employment which have occurred over a period of time. This is a third cycle of devolution. All the employments which have been done within the first and that cycle cannot all now the governor carry the burden that you have violated. Your wage bill is a result of that. The other issue is that what is not known is that at the beginning of devolution, even though the county government had a lean staff, most of the staff were devolved from the national government, which also was not contemplated, which has led to the rise of the wage bill. Honorable Speaker, the issue in the motion, the specific allegation in the motion was that this assembly in 2021 had passed a resolution that there was more employment. There was a freezing, and that is what is mentioned in the motion. Honorable Speaker, we wish to controvert this allegation, and we say that we have provided in our bundle of documents Annexure 4A. If I can lead members, in our bundle of documents, we have annexures. We have Annexure 4A. Annexure 4A, whereas the motion says in 2021, that is through a letter reference CAN, that is the 2021 letter, the county assembly had sought to freeze new recruitment. Because the motion is that the governor has violated and proceeded to recruit without the approval of the assembly, through the budget approval or any other approval, and that the assembly had already frozen their approval, that recruitment. Whereas, if you look at our letter, that is Annexure 4A, you will see it's a letter dated 17th July 2023 from Daniel Orina, that is the clerk of the assembly. This is letter conveying the resolution of the House, that this assembly by itself went ahead and authorized the governor to conduct recruitments. And it's in the letter. You can read the letter. We reference the assembly has resolved as follows: proceed with the recruitment process as you had planned earlier, and you are advised to conclude the placement process. So this is the same assembly authorizing the governor to continue with the recruitment process. Then now the same assembly wants the governor to be out of office for violating the resolutions of the Assembly of 2021. Yet this resolution is made in July 2023 when in the course of this particular Assembly. Honorable Speaker, we say this allegation is not substantiated. The governor, if the governor went ahead and proceeded in exercise, not even the governor, because the other issue is that the recruitment is also not the work of the governor. It's a work of the executive design through the County Public Service Board. So why should the governor now carry the cross for actions of the board in recruitment? If the board is within its exclusive mandate, the board is supposed to act independent. Independent means the board should not act with any directions of anybody. That is what the law provides, and the Assembly has already approved it. Why then should the governor now today be impeached for violating the Assembly? That is one of the issues we are raising, that this motion fails on that particular ground, and there is nothing. If the governor is going to carry the cross, then he should also carry the cross together with the Assembly, which passed the same resolution. The other ground, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of wage bill. What is this we call wage bill? The wage bill is not about the numbers of the employees who have been hired. It is the quantum, it is the totality of the salaries being paid. What has led to the increase of the wage bill? Honorable Speaker, in our submissions we have exhibited that, number one, the housing levy has increased the wage bill of the county. The wage bill is 35% is measured against what? If you start with 35%, then the following year the national government increases the housing levy. So you're already at 35%, then the national levy comes in. It goes to 35.5. That is the act of national government. The other issue which has come is this issues of salary increments. They are there. The SRC last year issued a circular which increased the salary and reviewed the salary of all the employees within the county. That one also increased the wage bill. The other issue is that the full cost variations, increment of NSSF contribution, NHIF contribution, has also led to the increase of the wage bill. The other issue is the issue of the doctors' strike. We have attached in our documents. We just want to be, the governor is not evading oversight from the House. What the governor has done, he has brought the record straight to the House. And all the record is contained in our annexure. There is an annexure 4B. This is approval of risk allowance and additional emergency allowance to employees. SRC has issued a circular increasing certain allowances. Does it have a bearing, an increase on the wage bill? Of course it does. Annexure number 4C is a CBA. Recently there was a strike of all the doctors in the county, and they signed a CBA between the county government of Nyamira, Kenya Medical and Practitioner and Pharmacy. Of course all the members have hospitals in the world. The doctors have gone back. Why did they go back? Because there was a CBA, which is a collective bargaining agreement, which has gone ahead and increased. It has a bearing. That's why the governors were holding ground. They were saying, no, 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 no. Whatever you are proposing on the table is going to have a bearing on the wage bill. You cannot sustain it. But because of the doctor strikes and everything, then the CBA was signed. On the 35%, where are we now? We are on 38%. Because the doctors and their salaries and the allowance, it takes upon it. There was also a return to work formula. Collective bargaining agreements, we have also attached so many documents between the pharmacists, there's a CBA between pharmacists. All these documents are provided for. All these documents, all these ones, there's also additional funding implication of emergency call for health workers. We have provided the circulars in our next years. Implementation of phase 1 remuneration. In August 2023, the SRC increased the salary of all the employees of the county. What does it have? It has an impact on the wage bill. So how does it have to do with the governor? Of course, the issue of the wage bill is an issue. And what steps has the governor done? In our submission, the governor is making steps. He has consulted the Institute of Human Resource Management to assist the county in rationalizing the issue of the wage bill. They have done steps: reversal of irregular promotions, dismissal of staffs with fake degrees, with the help of county assembly, stoppage of unnecessary employment, with exemption or technical, so that the governor is working. This letter shows that the governor is not acting alone, is acting in consultation with the county assembly. So they agree with the relevant committee of the assembly. These are the emergency areas we need. Can we hire? And then the assembly gives approval. So the governor cannot be sacrificed for that. So that one we've submitted. Of course, we've also mentioned there is also worth to know that the county has got over 700 lower cadre staffs whose impact is minimal in attainment of the county objectives. And this can only be used as office messengers and the rest. So the county has got these historical challenges. And these are the historical challenges which the governor requires the wise wisdom of this house to assist him on how to tame the wage bill. And that process is ongoing as evidenced by the correspondence. Honorable Speaker, I'll move to the second point. The second point is on violation of the county mortgage regulations. Honorable Speaker, at the outset, this allegation does not contain the specific violations. Every offendee in this country, even if you are charged for traffic offense, you are given the ground, the specific provision of the law you are violating. If you look at this motion, it just says violation of the county mortgage regulations. It doesn't give the specific area. Which regulation is it? How was it violated? It does not even give the evidence. It does not submit any evidence. It's an allegation which has been drawn in and which is supposed now to be gross violation of the law when it does not specify the specific violation, does not even provide evidence or material. What they have given is just the regulations. The document which is there only submits the copy of the regulation. However, the governor is not evading oversight. What he has done, he has provided that evidence to show that the mortgage that he was given, it was not him who gives himself mortgage. Members of the county assembly don't give themselves mortgage. The mortgages are given by the car loan and mortgage committee. The executive has got similar committee. The mortgage is a benefit, Honorable Speaker. We have attached our regulations here. It's a benefit from the SRC. We have a next regulation here, in our next year, to show that this benefit is a benefit which the governor is entitled to. The procedures are in that regulation from the SRC. The governor, just like anybody else, just like members here, is entitled to make an application to the committee. The committee processes the application, and if it finds you have merit and you're entitled, the committee is the actor, is the architect. A scheme that the governor is the actor and devised a scheme to pay himself. Then a question arises: who manages the payroll of the county? Is it the work of the governor? Is the governor the payroll manager? Is an MCA, a member of this house, a payroll? You receive a payslip like everybody else. Whatever is put in the payslip, it is the work of the payroll. So you cannot, we're not running, we're going to explain that there was nothing. But we just want to put the record clear that before you make an allegation against a particular person, it's very important you find the nexus between that particular person and the payroll, because the payroll is managed through integrated payment system. It's called IPPD. There's a system which manages the payroll, and it has got its own protocol, and the governor is not part of the protocol. So he cannot be accused that he has devised a scheme to pay himself. Yes, it's true the governor was paying arrears, Honorable Speaker. It's true. Let's go on the record that the governor was paying the arrears complained of. But how was he paid? Honorable Speaker, in 2017, we have attached a gazette notice, Annexure 6B. In 2017, the SRC gazetted salaries for members of the county government, the governor, the MCAs, and everybody. And those salaries, they downgraded the salaries of governors, MCAs, and members working in the county. What happened is, the members of the county assemblies, through the county assembly of Mombasa, through the county assembly service boards forum, that is the Kakamega County Assembly, they filed a case in court, and we have annexed Annexure 6A. That is the judgment of the court, the decree which declared this Gazette notice null and void. So what happened is that the governor's salaries and MCA salaries were downgraded. So thereafter, the salaries, that Gazette notice was squashed. It was squashed, members reverted back to the 2014 Gazette notice. The 2014 Gazette notice had higher salary than what the members were being paid and the governor. This happened across the board. So it's not only the governor alone, even the MCAs of the last assembly, those ones who are here, they are familiar with that scenario. So what happened is, the salaries had to be adjusted upwards to reflect the new reality. The salaries now had to be adjusted. They had to be adjusted. Who does that? Is it the governor or it's a HR? It's a HR, the payroll. The one that did across the board. In the assembly, it was done. Members, after a while, they saw their pay slips, have got arrears. And that is what actually happened, and that's how the governor was paid. However, this issue went to the ESCC. And when the ESCC was seized of the matter, they wrote to the governor a letter. It's annexed 6C here. We have annexed the letter. Refund pending conclusion of investigation. The ESCC saying, okay, we don't have a problem. The governor is admitting the money was paid and everything. Can you refund the money first, because we have realized the calculations and the computations were not done proper. It's not him. The people are doing the computations. It's just like members here. That circular had challenges like in the assembly. It said members are not supposed to be paid this number of committee sittings. So later on, the assembly must go back and recompute your sittings for 2 years. There are bound to be errors. You'll find members who have been overpaid and members who are underpaid. So SRC said, if there is a question of this amount of money, the whole of it, can it be refunded to the ESCC pending the investigation? And what the governor did, he was given the bank account for the ESCC. We have annexed a remittance, a bank transmission, where the governor deposited the money. There's a bank slip at 6D, where the governor gave the money to ESCC pending investigation. The ESCC in the letter they have said, please remember, it is the DPP who will prosecute anybody if we found out anything was criminal done with the advice of the ESCC. Here the governor is being prosecuted when the matter is before the relevant agency. So the House is being called upon today to prosecute the governor when the matter is pending before the ESCC, and the ESCC said, if we find any criminality on anybody, we will recommend to the DPP to prosecute. So does this House have that jurisdiction? But these allegations are there. The money was returned. The other issue was that payments to other officers who are there. We have mentioned, we have issues of payments to, irregular payments to, that is irregular payments to Geoffrey Kirogo, Emelad Kemuto, and 3 other county officers. These officers were charged. Honourable Speaker, these officers, we have provided in 6E a charge sheet whereby these officers who were paid money. So the governor paid the money. The money was actually paid like everybody else. These people earned, they received money paid through the system. So they were charged because the issues were, oh, you have defrauded. What happened? The charge sheet we have attached. In our next chart, 6F, Honourable Speaker, is a ruling from the magistrate courts where the Director of Public Prosecution has entered something called nolle prosequi. Means I've charged you, but I'm withdrawing the charges against you. So these charges against Godfrey Kiriambo and Mochache, this one was withdrawn.
What is your point of order, Clarice Nyabaro?
Mr. Speaker, I'm standing under Standing Order number 29 for the sake of avoiding any unconstitutional, as the governor's team is remaining with 15 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I wish that the county assembly to extend its sitting time, Mr. Speaker, because I can see at around 12:30, Mr. Speaker, that's we are supposed to, but I wish that we have to extend time, Mr. Speaker. I call upon the Honorable Nyaribo, Leader of Minority, to second me. And Mr. Speaker, since the standing order says, unless the Speaker, for the conveniency of the County Assembly, otherwise directs, the County Assembly shall meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 a.m. and adjourn at 12:30 p.m. and at 2:30 p.m. on Tuesdays, Thursdays. But more than one sitting may be directed, Mr. Speaker. I invite you to 29.4. A motion under paragraph 3A shall be moved at least.
Fraudulent, erroneous, or anything, the governor is not a payroll manager, so for him to bear that responsibility. However, we have said nothing criminal was perpetuated with respect to these particular individuals. They were taken to court. We provided a charge sheet. The right forum for them was to be in court. For them, if there was criminal, if there was any criminal done, then it was the courts to establish that through the DPP. But the DPP withdrew the charges against these particular individuals. Again, this matter is not even over, Honorable Speaker. As early as we have annexed 6G and 6H, this matter is pending before the EACC. We have annexed a letter dated 26 July 2024. This is as recently as 2 months ago, whereby the EACC has listed the same individual. Of course, the name of the governor is not there as a recipient, but these other individuals whose payroll numbers were provided and the amounts allegedly they paid, their numbers are there. It said to facilitate the investigation, please give us the employment files, give us the pay slips and the payroll schedules. This matter is before the EACC. Can anybody carry criminal responsibility when the matters are still in pending investigation? Does it amount to gross violation of the law when the matter is under investigation? Even members of the assembly can also be investigated. Anybody can be investigated. But at what point does the liability arise? It's at the conclusion of the investigation. It's upon the conclusion of the investigation and somebody has been charged and the court has convicted that person, then you can rightfully say there was a scheme devised to defraud. There was no element of fraud here. This allegation does not amount to gross violation, the abuse of office, because the governor is not a payroll officer. If by the end of the day, the court establishes there was a scheme at the payroll department to defraud the county, the people will bear responsibility will be the people who are managing the system. They are the people who are managing the APPD system. It's not the government. So that is because that is the individual. Abuse of office is on the person who is having that particular office where the abuse has been committed. You cannot carry the entire burden just because a driver has caused an accident or he has defrauded fuel, you say the governor should bear responsibility for that. What the Constitution contemplates are individual actions of the governor. The gross violation must be the governor himself violating that particular law. Honorable Speaker, and as we have done, in our bundle of documents, we have systematically controverted every allegation here. These allegations which don't have any legal basis, they don't have any evidence, they're not supported by any evidence, they have not even been substantiated, and on the part of the governor, he has exhibited that nothing wrong has been done. So the standard under Article 181 of the Constitution does not apply here because there's not even a single violation. I'm not even talking about gross violation. There's not even a single violation which has been demonstrated in this petition. And with that, unless the chair has got any questions from us or the house or somebody, or anything clarification, we will adjourn, we will rest.
also the majority whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I feel misread when our advocate here is telling us that an issue lying in the ACC will bar this honorable house, Mr. Speaker, to discuss it. I'm very much aware that he understands that the only body which will restrict anybody from discussing an issue is the courts, Mr. Speaker. And in this case, Mr. Speaker, when a driver causes an accident, who stands in for that? Is the owner who will pay any cost if maybe the car was not insured. Yes, no, let me finish. And the other thing, Mr. Speaker, why did the governor accept to pay back the money if at all that was a blame of the Human Resource Department, Mr. Speaker? Then it could be that the Department of HR could have paid back the money, Mr. Speaker. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Eti mswada huu hujahitimu kuonekana kwa hii nyumba ya sheria hapa. Ningeomba sana tuambie ilikuwa inahitaji nini na nini ndio ihitimu ifike hapa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hiyo ni kutuambia sisi hatuelewi na hatuoni penye tunaenda, Mheshimiwa Spika. Naomba sana atujibu. What does it mean to the motion to meet the threshold, Mr. Speaker? Thank you.
Speaker, I've stood to put some issues right here. In this August House that the law or the policy on persons with disability has not passed through this House. It was enacted 9 months ago, Mr. Speaker. Records are there, the answer is there. And 9 months down the line, the governor has failed to appoint the chairperson of the body to run the issues of persons with disabilities, Mr. Speaker. Also, I don't know which kind of evidence do we need for violation when the annexures are there about pay slips of people earning more than they deserve. The annexures are there. How can the senior counsel allege that there is no evidence? The evidence of pay slips. The evidence of paying back. What do you pay back? By paying back means you have accepted the liability. Honorable Speaker, the council is alleging of personal vendetta and other issues. Can I also challenge him to give evidence of any personal vendetta in the motion? Is there any personal vendetta that you have detected here, such that you give us evidence? Don't lie. What is not mentioned in a motion, we have not mentioned of members of county assembly having a personal vendetta with the governor. We have only said he has violated. And you cannot guess that we have a personal vendetta. We will not come here to pick quarrels with each other. We are working for the people. So therefore, can you also table evidence that there is a personal vendetta that you are alleging here? Honorable Speaker, he asked a question here. Is it in the spirit of the public? And this one can be proved by public participation, Mr. Speaker. What else would we do than saying that the public is for the motion? Because we went to the field and there was public participation. I'm irritated of this because I'm the chairman, Justice and Legal Affairs in this, the committee of this House, Mr. Speaker, and I laid a document here with a lot of evidence about public participation, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, another issue here. The council accepts that there is a law on employment at that 5%, which is progressive. Is it indicated in the law that the law remains progressive, that we can continue employing, or the law just puts a ceiling at that 5%? It is in common, in public, that we have employed more than required by the law. There is no, when I went through, there is no letter or there is no word indicating that the law is progressive. The law is never progressive. It puts the ceiling at 35%, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if the governor has not broken law, Is there a chairman of the body learning the persons living with disabilities issues? Is there a chairman in place 9 months down the line? If there is a chairman, then we could be lying. But if there is no chairman, law has been violated. Mr. Speaker, the people who were employed at HR department, one Kiriago and Imelda, there is a letter, an annexure in the motion, which shows that the governor requested for them from somewhere. And we have not been provided by an advert of the positions when they came in. And there is no evidence that they attended any interview. Therefore, we say they were put there strategically to help with default the county government and the people of Nyamira, their funds. I'm concluding that in this count of Nyamira, just a question, Council, who is the driver? Is it you or me? The driver of this count is Honorable His Excellency Mwami Nyaribo. And if the vehicle gets an accident in the form of Nyamira County, who has caused the accident? The driver. And when you have an institution, you take responsibility of the misconduct of your people. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Emmanuel.
I rise just to respond or to comment on the issues by the council as you were submitting the defense. I also see that there was a report which was shared on public participation, and this report, assuming that it's signed by Honorable Vincent Benecha, whom I believe is truthful, fair, and honest, as the chairperson of the Committee of Legal Affairs, the public participation report. Mr. Speaker, sir, in that report, which was sent to our email addresses, there are a few issues which I intend to raise. On page number 11, if you compute a number in Borabu sub-county, a number of 97 questionnaires were filled. In Nyamira South, Mr. Speaker, a number of 129 questionnaires were filled. In Nyamira North, which is the home of His Excellency Governor Amos Nyaribo, there was no questionnaire which was sent or filled according to the data. And then, Mr. Speaker, sir, you go to Manga, a total of 187 questionnaires were filled. You go to Masava North, a total of 95 questionnaires were filled. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm raising to inquire why the disparity in that in one entire sub-county where the man who is being crucified today, there was no question which was sent there. Mr. Speaker, sir, lastly, in that report, the clerk notes, the clerk, office of the clerk, that's in page 12, says a total of 24 memorandums were received in support of the impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, while seated here, I've just received evidence from a group of people who submitted 51 memorandums in support of His Excellency, the Governor, Amos Nyaribo. So I also want the office of the clerk that I can also respond. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
What is kind of information on this?
Mr. Speaker, regarding the Nyamira North sub-county, Mr. Speaker, under the public participation was supposed to be done in Ekerenya ward, of which is the headquarters of the sub-county, Mr. Speaker. The said person, the accused person, hired goons from his home ward and they invaded the premises, and it was chaotic, Mr. Speaker. And again, Mr. Speaker, well, the honorable member of this house saying he has received the evidence that there was some memorandum supporting the governor. He was receiving those evidence as who? Those memorandums as who? Why were they not surrendered to the relevant authorities, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, we don't need drama. Let's move ahead. Put a question, we vote, we go. Thank you.
Getting the response from the legal team representing our governor. And we had not started the issue of the debate of the motion after the representation of the government. Now, Speaker, I thought we should clear response issues, the question that we should ask them for clarification, and then we move into debates and subsequent processes on our Speaker.
Thank you, but the Speaker already directed the same. The mover of the motion read the motion, and then His Excellency's team responded with the same, and the debate continues. So we're in the right track. Thank you. Honorable John Mbongi, Member of County Assembly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Bukira Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise even before we begin the debating. I think this is a house of fairness, as it should be. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, with your guidance through you, I also don't want to agree to the fact that we can claim an allegation without proof that His Excellency the Governor hired goons to go and interfere with the public participation. With all due respect, he also deserves protection from us as members of the County Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I rise to also challenge the public participation process that was done. If I look at the report, I think the Council was refrained from addressing issues that are not part of the motion. And if you look at the public participation, it was to be guided by this same House through its Chairman of Legal and Justice, Honorable Vincent Benecha. But looking at the report, how can we, for example, raise matters that are not in the motion as part of the reasons why the public feels the Governor should be impeached? Honorable Speaker, if you look at that public participation report, on page 13, sorry, there is a reason number 2, that majority of the respondents are in support of the motion. That is for the following reasons. Number 2, that the Governor does not have academic credentials that are required by law. Honestly, how do we raise that in a public participation? And if you look at these reasons, there are reasons up to number 25. In fact, I've seen one that the Governor directed a payment of 10 million to ex gratia to his account when he is not entitled. Then there is one that is also saying that in the financial year 2023, the Auditor General report and such stuff. Honorable Speaker, I really wish that if we were to give the public a right image of the impeachment, then we could tell them exactly what is in the motion of impeachment. So, Honorable Speaker, I really want to challenge that this public participation is not well guided, and whatever that the public was fed with is not what is in the motion paper. Because if we were to give them and tell them to restrict themselves to the motion, then some of these reasons would not be here. So to me, the public participation, in my own opinion, Honorable Speaker, with the right, with the freedom of opinion that I have, is that this public participation was coerced and given to the public members as already poisoned public participation material, so that they could see the evil. In fact, it is guided. So all this stuff, even if you are to capture, then we should capture what is in the motion. Honorable Speaker, I really feel that is an oversight.
And if the matters, they are mentioned that they are ongoing in court until our term is over. And then what are we oversighting? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Little Majority Appel Mose, also a member of County Assembly for Magwawa Ward.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I stand also to echo my statement, Honorable Speaker. And this is why I'm saying, Ghana Mwe, I can have to move. The fact is, Honorable Speaker, when you talk about the institutional subsidy that Honorable His Excellency the Governor discriminated discriminated some of the students not to benefit from the bursaries or the scholarship if they don't hear from Nyamira. Honourable Speaker, I don't see any reason why we should execute or prosecute the governor giving direction. The governor cannot, and I want to be this, cannot give somebody, a student coming from Kisii County, because Kisii County has the same Kitty on its page. Even as honourable members, let us be very genuine. In this, let us be very categorical. Honourable Speaker, I know when honourable members were given the bursaries forms to go and to issue to the students, they were specific. They were even going further asking for identification to understand where these people come from, their jurisdiction. What is wrong? Do you want at least the people of Nyamira to lack the benefit they are entitled to give other words? That's unfair. It has reason beyond the box. Honourable Speaker, with the bursaries, I don't see any reason why we should just crucify the governor of giving directives that only the Nyamirians can be benefits. That's the benefits. The beneficiaries. Honourable members, we are not working besides our counties. We are only working in our county. And if you want maybe your friend or your relative to benefit from Kisii, from Homa Bay, do a plan and a mind from there. Let them come and do that one. For the bursaries, P1 belongs to the county. And we have to protect the resources that comes to the county. We cannot go beyond. You are the same people practicing this one. You are the same people who advise the governor that we are not going to give anybody money who is coming outside our area of jurisdiction. Do you expect the government to give monies to people outside the area of jurisdiction in Nyamira? It cannot happen. Each county has its own kitty. It has equitable share. We don't share with any county our equitable shares and our own resource revenue. Number two, Honourable Speaker, about the court orders. I've never seen any court contempts issued to our government. That is a court matter. If there is any court contempt, I think the government should be in jail by now. And if they say the government is free, I don't see any reason why we should talk about what is lying in courts. About the salary payments fraud, I know, and all remember, you understand, we are not being paid in the county by the governor. The governor is not CEC PSM. He's not a CEO. He's being paid the way I'm being paid. And if there was some payments which was abnormal, it is just that person who was overpaid to be surcharged. So the governor was surcharged and we paid the money. It's very correct. And he's a Christian. You wanted not to be paid? You know, let us call a spade by now. Let us stop the fact that the payment that the government received, repaid, was surcharged and repaid and has the paying slip. So we don't need at least to argue about the payment of overpayment of the salary that was repaid. And finally, employment. When we talk about employment, remember, I don't know, why do we repeat this same thing all the time? And you know, I'm surprised, seeing this one happening today again. And I talked about this employment. You all remember. Why do we repeat the matters that was disposed? We discussed this thing. We decided that the governor is not an employing body. I know honorable deputy speaker, there's something that I don't know if mistaken, they also want to protect me. I know he has a right. He has a beef with the governor. And I know this time, you know, there are those who are not a speaker being enticed.
Just limit yourself to...
On the speaker, I know someone that remembers here, they are enticed to get positions. Let me tell you, Honorable Nyaribo is going nowhere. Allow me, Honor, to say this. I know, Honor Speaker, there are those who are promised. Let me tell you, Honor members, be contented to be an honorable member. You are chosen to be an honorable member, not a deputy governor. Forget that one. Forget that one. This is a matter that we dispensed, and we don't want it to recur. Why bring the same document?
That's going against the non-misleading the House. In your future, as long as you feel that you have enough meat for the same. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. For sure, Mr. Speaker, and to be sincere, I'm a demoralizing man. Mr. Speaker, the withdrawal of Honorable Jerry Mbongi from the board, Mr. Speaker, it has made me to feel low, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion, even if Mr. Speaker, he has a right to support it or not, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let us not work on intimidation, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, let us not force people, Mr. Speaker, to send the governor home, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as somebody from North Mugirango, Mr. Speaker, sir, there is a verse, Mr. Speaker, where the people were asked between Paranaba and Jesus, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, I'm worried, Mr. Speaker, that this House, it has chosen Paranapas instead of Jesus, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as somebody who is coming from North Mugirango, Mr. Speaker, I also see this as total witch-hunt, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have given an elephant, Mr. Speaker. Why do they need a rabbit also, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I was in support, Mr. Speaker, of this, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, I've reasoned the council very carefully, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, somehow, Mr. Speaker, I'm blaming myself, Mr. Speaker, and I'm also blaming the governor, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I'm in record, Mr. Speaker. I myself, Lamek Sikwea Onyanja, MCA Itibo Ward. I didn't give anybody parcel outside Itibo Ward. Because, Mr. Speaker, the resources, when we are being given resources, we are given according to the people who fought in that ward, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, the issue of people with disability, Mr. Speaker, the council team, we passed that bill in this house. We passed that bill in this house, but we didn't give the timeline of the bill when the governor was to appoint that committee. Mr. Speaker, as the majority said, as the majority leader said, Mugara mumwe na haki umupe, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have county public service board, Mr. Speaker. And nothing, Mr. Speaker, limiting us as the Honorable House, Mr. Speaker, to call Mr. Kereri on these appointments, Mr. Speaker, he made, Mr. Speaker. We have the power to summon Mr. Kereri, but not the governor, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Kereri is the chair of the Public Service Board, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, nothing which is barring us, Mr. Speaker, to summon Mr. Kereri. Mr. Speaker, the issue of payroll, the governor is not an accounting officer anywhere, Mr. Speaker. There is no signature of Governor Amos Nyaribo signing salaries of employees, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we are conducting this, Mr. Speaker, it is good, Mr. Speaker, to do this exercise with a lot of fairness, where everybody is having a right, he or she is having a right to vote whenever he wants, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, under this issue of honorable choice, Mr. Speaker, I know, Mr. Speaker, you will deal with it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Move to the next state. And now put to question that this Honorable House approves the report on the removal of Honorable Amos Nyaribo, the County Governor of Nyamira County, from office by way of impeachment on the following grounds. 1. Gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya and other laws. 2. Abuse of office and gross misconduct. Will as many are of the similar opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many are of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The House have it. We will go to the ballot by roll call voting so that we can determine the nays and the ayes. Thank you, honorable members. Clerk, you proceed. And before that,
majority wa Nyamira County abel mukaya mose kotavambia mwana abantu ba mitonsi bali mwato saberete esegene ya kabere na ndito abwire ya mwana abashirwa bali batinde tamona itwe erinde kotetea umugabano eri ya kabere esegeye ne ya kabere na inde bono kokwana ndiganirire majority esegiri ya gatatu na ndete chicha onye umuntu osoki bukabere eri ya gatatu basabotera iye Nyamira iko imara na tutatoka korega stubwatirana n'abashimiwa bono gokurangiria abashimiwa bonse ba Nyamira ba MC bonse tubwatirane bono tokorega siamo erinde tunyare gukira Nyamira yaitu yerene no tukovuwa intwe ebyongozi goyotonye toye Nyamira yaitu n'abantu togokorera si riba gabanyare gokorerwa bono tukomanya no kwa beto opposition wa against governor intuto bwati yetokede usile biranka binde usenga kochiko chukiato munde bwezi intubono twisharanse nerido majority Nyamira nabarangire byongozi bwezi tunyara wisaransa tukwanirane n'umugabana na indego bayirande inche muna erido majority iyo wa connect county executive na county assembly babwataniamo ama n'umugabana tunyara usukira Nyamira ye yabana sawa
ngagete information no gavana nyorire ase njira escape impeachment ye nje nagota yo mugavana na korera abantu banyamire gasi etwagete sabu tukorana ba MCA 23 bokamba gukorusi gochore n'abantu 80,000 please yo mugavana information yane gocha no mu MCA itubo gocha sole e cabinet ye yemo karake sabu yo goyo disoro obenga abantu abanya bakorera abanyamire gasi nande gavana ntonya konya gokorera nego sori ebintu twagotebiriga aya tweteire na makong make sure na koiranire ground otoke okorera abanyamire gasi aina ara masabana tugochia so mugavana Amos Nyaribo asengenjo nambe yemo kweru na no mono timogirango tigatokonye kirogeke na yasoka chakarabu korera abanyamire gasi erindo rigerigo 2027 inocho rumbia
Mheshimiwa Abel Bokaya Mose majority wa Nyamira na ninasema shukrani kwa Mungu kwa ushindi tumepata kwa hii kiti cha ugavana na hii mswada wa kumuondoa Mungatua katika ushukani, leo tumeshinda hiyo vita mara ya pili. Na tunasema hivi, kuanzia sasa wale wote vinyangarika waachane na mchezo huu wa sasa wa impeachment, tufanye kazi, tupatie gavana wetu muda wa kutosha ili afanye kazi. Sisi kama viongozi wa Nyamira tunasema sasa tunataka amani, na ninahubiri siku ya pili leo, tunataka amani. Na amani hii tunayotaka ni kupatia pia gavana wetu afanye ndiye achape kazi, kwa sababu alipatiana watu manifesto na kuna vitu ambao ameweka. Tuko na budget kila mtu, na ninasi viongozi wote wa Nyamira tuwe na amani sasa, tufanye kazi, tufanyiwe kazi, tupatie gavana mwelekeo na yale ambao tunataka kuyazungumza. Sasa kuna fursa ya kukaa na gavana ndio tupate kujadiliana tuweze kuinua kaunti.
Ndio twese gutegerera amangana bunaya gonda tebe ng'enchire ntobus Nyamira mutu tutubwende kubwatana na barai onde bwensi ubwata shida yae no mugabana tuikaransense tukwane bunenchira twakonya abantu banyamira. Otherwise twese gutegerete esegie last time ya tubita kongu tubaitana na assembly na ndio tokuriye libona gabana inchi baganyitama gendero no guitana turigita igonda iskari any political figure ero ikaransense okona goikaransari elinga na kigava nako ba disrupted okorega asiaye itutaita motenga bone round ine indiga gotema ne ara bono tukwameria abantu banyamira bamoyo. I'm very emotional because I feel this was witch hunt na inde tiga abantu bare real facts to korenda binso biteyo no chego tateito impicho umugabana no muntu ochore tuna abantu banyamira bakamuitaba bakamotea enda akorera abantu egasi nintu abanyene buna barayi tutari gwikaransa twake sabu ngo munyamira ya bwente koba onye na issue ya magendero bako munyu mugabana mbago ikaransa rinde baro si impeachment bwata mangana ya magendero inki bako bekere bitina biyoka into bitabwati mabo gabana tari yere conductor ya Nyamira igare entereba ya Nyamira gosomo nyene egari gego cause accident yo monyene ari insurance firm at the end of the day ko bana egari gego cause accident mwana ntomo nyene asa yo mange. Asante. Kwa majina naitwa Mheshimiwa Joel Mbongi. Leo hii tumekuwa na fursa ya kupiga kura ya kumsaidia gavana wetu ili abaki afisini. Nimeona kwamba vita vimekuwa vingi hapa Nyamira na imefanya maendeleo yanarudi nyuma. Ningependa kuomba viongozi wenzangu wale wote katika nyanja zote, wale wabunge wetu wa National Assembly, sisi kama MCS na gavana na seneta na mwakilishi wa wanawake, kwamba tukae chini tufanye ile plan ya kusaidia watu wa Nyamira. Hivi vita ambavyo tunafanya vitaturudisha nyuma kama watu wa Nyamira. Nilikuwa na hisia mbaya sana na nimetoa machozi kwa sababu pia yule ambaye amechaguliwa na wananchi wakapiga kura asubuhi, tutawezaje kumuondoa watu wachache ambao wana fikra mbaya juu ya ugavana wetu? That is malicious and we want to say it is not in order to fail the people of Nyamira with malice. Tumeokoa gavana. Ukiona kura zikipigwa zilikuwa 22 out of 34 ambapo walipachika moja. Mimi nataka kuambia viongozi sisi ni hatua yetu kuchukua kuwa acha tusaidie gavana, si ati kununuliwa ama kufanya nini. Kwa sababu kama mimi natoka wodi ya Tibu ambayo ni not Mudrang, watu wangu public participation waliniambia nisimbichi gavana Nyaribo. Asanteni sana. Ndio timu residents members of the county assembly who participated in today's proceedings. On behalf of the government, my name is Julius Anyo, the head of the leadership team, His Excellency. Together has been assisted by my colleague, Mr. Jacob. Now, on behalf of the government, first of all, thanks and says congratulations to the members of the county assembly who have demonstrated and restored the constitution. Yes, really appealed to the members of the county assembly
But the constitution goes ahead and gives the members of the Assembly a delegated right by this same to exercise that production power. However, as the exercise has been, it must be in accordance with the Constitution. Impeachment is not one of the contemplated ways upon which the members
Governor niga akere twechukura ne county engima take ino mu MCA take ino mu rayo no mu MCA oboso ko bonene ekero mo ikaranse dikama kolega asi mwataka kokole bintu bikoro kuna impeachment mwagenda mutiga bana ba minto mogabana mo machinga kitingorora akolega asi na mane osono bolimo abaya nanga na igo kamuranje na basota bana ba minto bali aba MCA musike gabana bi akolega asi yaya next tumanya ko morgere ninake inki akora abeke mtu bya yemesa igo na mane osono bolimo
watu mogoko na twatebya aba MC aba na wananchi ili bare kuri gichukura wananchi banyamira tuko ndio baba tebetinga ki toe chikura twende ko imbicho mugana toe chikura twende gukora ebitina toe chikura twende gukora wichikani na kurwana eba ngaine taba wananchi banyamira nango enda bare ko bakonya bakangaina abanyina ko bakonya bare chichiro ebyombe nebintu byabo bakangaina abasaya babaito ko bachakira bare nonye lutu kurupi ndo kuna chikaoshi nebintu birakonya abasaya bakangaina abagaka n'abantu bose banyamira tokaba achikura bakabane party bagachoye koruba achomwe gasiba kore nyamira bone myaka ebere negase ko impeachment yeba akorire waro nonya baloya batebirenga ki no some ebintu biri barigete mbiare kwendande nebintu byobulimo Jengo rateba ngo Nyaribo no mubi otanga nejera goto tindo kibuna arabe mugaba nare ko basaba bono mwairo rere lya kabere mwagure genda mutie binte bya abana bamwe aba MC banyamira mono inu baka yesi gaba naruo genda mwebori bari bako batoma nga murusi omugabano wake tuchikura 1082 n'abananchi banyamira ayo kwake rosene libwe wachi koseri omugako ndo utumire chibesi chae na ndo okore gasi ayo boronge na ende public participation ya oroke ng'abananchi banyamira baje to mugabano waterana ichwamo mwaberane mukolera abananchi banyamira amanya